Hello, this is Victoria with Plantastics, and we are doing a plant tour. We're going to start in the corner of my office. So on this really tall pole, it's 24 inches. I have got some Scindapsus and some Treble Moonlight and Heartleaf Philodendron, and it is so difficult for me to get to. I have one of those plant nannies, which is basically a terracotta pot with a water reservoir attached. Right here is my Burl Marks Philodendron. I have had it for a little bit now, and I've already had to propagate it. It gets so large. I understand that these climb. I saw these in the Keys actually while I was on vacation, and they get really, really tall. So down here is a Birkin Philodendron, and I also had to propagate it. It grew into 3 separate plants, and remove those. Here is my Micans, very beautiful. Here is a Stramanthe Trio Star, and you're gonna get a look at, get a load of that. Needs a repot, but I think it's so cute in this little pot that it's currently in. This is my most recent new plant. It is a Melina Chrysum, and I'm gonna do a video on just water and how to impact your plant. So that on the border of the plant is mineral deposits, and I just thought that was interesting for you to see. Moving on to my plant shelf. So this is a Hoya here, and it even has, oh, this is so difficult to film because of the lighting. It has like almost white leaves. And I made this little trellis from 12 gauge copper wire. Here is my big papa. It's a Nepenthes alata. And it is just, this is the oldest picture. It's just kind of just falling apart. I've been struggling with humidity, maintaining it. And yeah, so he's got quite a few pictures. I mean, they're pretty big. Here are some more of my carnivorous plants. This is an Anthurium dot block cross, and it's really new. I have it in an orchid pot with bark and soil. Here is my Nepenthes Bill Bailey. Here is my Nepenthes Gaia, not really sure. This is a Philodendron Brillianti, I believe. And I've divided this Venus flytrap and sundew. This is my begonia. Here you can see it's kind of hot in here. The sun rises and hits this side of the house, and it is like the hot side of the house, pretty much. Here we've got some very beautiful African violets blooming. These are both no ID. This one honestly has the most beautiful growth patterns. Like, it doesn't really get suckers. The leaves are pretty much nice and flat. This one is also a no ID from Walmart, and look how many flowers it has got. Neither of these bloomed in the spring. This was really more of a rehab from Lowe's. I believe I got it on clearance. Here is my Jacqueline Alocasia. In a previous video, I showed you how I can grow these pretty much from corms. Here's my Maidenhair Fern making a comeback. And here's my Anthurium clarinervium. And it has literally divided at the base. It looks like it's got potentially 3 different little growth points on it. So I'm really happy about that. This is like the ICU compartment. So I originally purchased this little glass terrarium to try to create more humidity. But if you really look, there are lots of little places where it's just not sealed. So it's not serving the purpose that this one does. So this is, if I can prop this open, this is a pure dock block seedling, and I pretty much have it in soil and moss, and then it has little holes that you cannot see, but you're just going to have to imagine. And pretty much whenever I water it, the excess water touches the terracotta and it kind of like creates humidity in here. Here is a rehab that I purchased online. It is a Philodendron splendid node. And it has actually shown some promise where the leaf is developing. And I saw online that you could propagate begonias from leaves, so I'm giving that a go. I don't know how that's going to work, but I saw videos where people did it successfully, so we're going to see. So I just closed this. And I love this so much because I can just kind of crack it. But I like to leave it closed. In the morning, the sun shines pretty much through this window. And that gets pretty warm. I've been fighting keeping the humidity above 40%. Right now you can see it's at 51. Here is my betta fish. I had to learn, and this is like an automatic feeder. My life is pretty hectic right now, so I like to feed him pretty much at a regular interval. And he has a beta log and he loves it. Look at him. He loves it. He loves to stay in there. He doesn't think I'm fixing to feed him right now, so he's not coming out. And I have several different plants. You can see that there's like serious algae buildup here, and it's pretty much just from this light always being on in the daytime. But the rest of it's pretty clean, and I do partial water changes every single week. If you ever want to get an aquarium, understand that it is a lot of maintenance. Even if you cycle it, you still have to do water changes. But yeah, he loves this thing. It's got a little hole in the top, if you can see, and he lounges there. That's like, I guess, like his couch, and he can get air. And then I'm not really sure what these are called. I got them from Petco for really cheap, and they introduced snails into my aquarium, and I'm battling those currently. These are Java Fern, and then I think this is Nubius or something like that. I purchased this also at Petco. It came attached to a rock. And then this one was a much larger plant that literally died back substantially, and I have pretty much glued it to this rock. There is a snail in here as well. I only see him at nighttime. I don't know if he's nocturnal, but he's really large. And also, I've got like a million of these little tiny snails. But anyway, so that's Scalia. And so we're fixing to move to the other side of my room. So this is like almost like a backdrop for my Zoom calls and whatnot. And it gets a lot of sun. And then she loves the sun, so I just push her bed to where she's in the sun. And then this is her food. She has a very interesting method of sorting through, and I guess she only eats certain pieces. I've never been able to figure it out. She eventually eats all of it whenever pretty much like she's getting close to the bottom of the bowl. So anyways, this is a Raven ZZ, and I've got some Scindapsus in here. Pretty much just put it in random pots or coupled it with other things because the pot of it that I had was just so small. This is a peace lily, and it's a different variety. The leaves look like dragon scales. They are super cool looking. This is my Stramanthe Trio Star, and it's huge. There's like a bald spot in the middle, sorry. And so I put this Tillandsia in here. It is huge. Let's look at it. So it's not actually touching the soil. And it does have a little bit of new growth since I've had it. And then it's got little roots on the back. I haven't had anything die on it. But I literally submerge it in my fish tank. And then I turn it upside down overnight into this plant. And then I turn it right side up the next day. But yeah, these are really pretty. And then I just have a grow light in there. This is my very large peace lily, and it has blessed me with a bloom. I always wanted a bird of paradise, but I just don't have the commitment of time or space for one. So I got this Diphen bacchia, and I do understand that they are poisonous. She doesn't eat plants, luckily. Here we have a very, very beautiful Philodendron brazil, and I have it on this trellis I made with copper wire, and it's just really beautiful how it's filled it in on both sides. Like, it doesn't really have a front or a back, it's just really filled in. And then here is my Sarracenia, and it is really just lost it. It's crazy. It's just really gigantic, and it's really taken over this pot. Here's my red secret. I did have a problem with spider mites, but I got rid of them, and now I have really great growth. I have a new leaf coming out here. So this is pretty much the last plants in my office. Now we're going to move to the next room. This is the foyer. This is a monster plant. This is probably one of the plants I've had for the longest. It is a ficus, and it's the it's the variety that doesn't die like as easily. It did accidentally get sprayed with something when I had it outside, so it's got places where it looks like a sunburn, but it was just a very strong chemical that was accidentally sprayed on it. At the bottom, we've got some pothos. And then this right here is pretty much, these are those little lights. They're not grow lights. These aren't. These are pretty much the ones that you put kind of under your cabinets. This one at the top is a grow light by GE. So we're going to start on the very bottom. This monster right here is my Broadleaf Addon, and she is gorgeous. Like, look how pretty. Just gigantic. This was a cutting from a plant swap, and now it has gotten pretty large. It is a begonia called Looking Glass, and it really, really needs to be repotted. But I just don't want to, because I know whenever I repot begonias, like, I always damage them. This is the peace lily, the same one, and it's more juvenile, I guess, and you don't really see the markings quite as much. Here is my terrarium where I can't open it with one hand, but I've got some wild violets, and then I got some ivy, and then I have a silver dragon alocasia in there. This is a cutting from my Fanny Mosier outside. That's like a monster, a genuine monster. Here is my Calathea Macchiana, I believe. And it is really pretty, really filled out. It's just nothing but leaves. And I have it in this really cool clear plastic container so you can just see all of the roots. So I'm gonna put all these back. I can't really remember how I had them. Seems about right. Okay, so here is a crinkle fern, a huge crystal that I got at TJ Maxx. Both of my burgundy African violets that bloomed in spring, I removed all the suckers and gave them some fresh soil, and they are recuperating from that repot. Here is a peperomia. Here is another peperomia. a variety I'd never really heard of before. It was on clearance. Here is a Tenanthe, fishbone Tenanthe. My brandy over here. It got sunburnt in the window. I finally got one of these things. This is not the one that came with it. The air plant that it came with is like in rehab right now because it was on clearance. But this is a Tillandsia. This is a Tillandsia. Here is my rabbit fern. Look at all the little cute feet. Aren't they precious? But yeah, and then these are my prayer plants. I've got a lemon lime stripe and a red stripe, and then they always bloom. This is a bloom bulb, so that's probably why. Another Tillandsia. And he's in a kind of a cool little thing. He looks kind of like a creature. And here is an Xanthoma lindini. This is the one that I grew from a corm, and it has come a long way. Each leaf is getting larger lobes, kind of like that, and it kind of has a little bit of fuzz on the petioles, and then it's got a little baby growing. He needs a lot of light. He is not a low light guy. He really needs to be under some kind of a grow thing. So pretty much this is the foyer. There are a lot of plants by the smear. I literally got this flower pot yesterday. I have no idea what I'm going to put in it, but I will figure that out later. So here is my polka dot begonia. I've had it under grow lights. It was knocked upside down by the Roomba. It was on a plant stand. It just got knocked off. And sadly, it really suffered. So I had it in my rehab room pretty much to grow and look better. And then this is my Alocasia dragon scale. It also had spider mites, but it's making a comeback. I think this is a Dracaena. And this is my tree philodendron. I have separated this one so many times. It's incredibly large because it is 3 separate plants. You can see 1, 2, and 3. I really love this planter. This is the Song of India, and I'm afraid that it's dying. It keeps losing leaves. And then this is a pothos. This is my glorified rehab room, aka the isolation room. This is where plants go when I don't know what to do with them. They have some kind of a pest, or I just got them and I need to keep them away from my other plants. So we are going to start up here. So this is a Calathea. I think it's a flame star. And it's in here pretty much because I just got it and it needed a chance to pretty much get acclimated. It has some really promising roots. A lot of the times whenever you get something, like this was a starter plant, it was just basically a little plug. When you repot them, they're not going to show any outward signs of growth, but if you have them in a clear pot, you're going to be able to see the roots developing because they'll develop roots before they develop leaves. So don't be discouraged if you have had one and it hasn't really shown any promise. Here is an orchid, and then there is its name. I bought this on clearance. Pretty much all of my orchids I buy on clearance. Here's another one, and it's holding on to its little identifier. None of these have ever bloomed for me. There's another orchid back there. This is a pink begonia. I cannot remember its name. This is a black velvet I grew from a corm. Here's some basil and a cutting from a begonia. Here's that pink dragon wing begonia that I chopped up. And as you can see, I got roots, so I pretty much put them in there. This is the plant that I got from the plant swap. And I didn't change the soil and put it in a larger pot. but I did put it where it had water pretty much to where it could evaporate. We've got some pretty nice root growth, so that's promising. It is a pretty small little guy, and I'm hoping it'll divide up and just become a gigantic plant. This is a very beautiful desert rose I purchased, and this means something. I have no idea what it means, but this is a grafted desert rose, so pretty much, you know what a graft is, but they chopped off the top of another plant and put it on top of the base of another, and the like flowers are really, really pretty. Unfortunately, you can see right where that like nub is right here. That's where there was a flower stalk, and I was watering this plant and it just fell off, and I'm really sad about that. Here is a guy that is rehabbing right now. I don't know what's wrong with it. I think it still is suffering from spider mites. It is a African mask dwarf. This is a staghorn fern, and underneath it is this Hoya cutting. And I'm just trying to see if I can get it to grow roots. And pretty much I have this, it's literally a net around sphagnum moss. So he seems to like it. And it does dry out some, but not drastically. I've also had this plant probably since like 2016 or 2017. Bought it at a flea market of all things. Here is some more rehab. So this had pretty bad spider mites, and it is growing back now. It's pretty promising. I think it's kind of cool how some of the leaves are pink and some aren't. This is the begonia I got from the plant swap. The tops of the leaves are up here, and as you can see, there's a spider on there, but there's also some growth coming from the base. This is a begonia from outside, and he's transitioning to being inside right now. This is a African violet that I got. This is a begonia, one of the red ones, Begonia Rex, and it was outside, it dried up, and it's not doing so great. Here's another Begonia Rex that I got from the plant swap. Here's the corpse plant, a variegated string of pearls, string of turtles, Eve's needle or something like that. I bought it because I thought it was one of booby cactuses, but it's not. But if you use your imagination, it kind of looks like one. This I purchased as a Allocation Ninja. You can see where it had spider mites, and in the process of getting rid of them, and then boom, no more. Pretty much I had spider mites outside, and this was in July, but you know, plants show all the things pretty much that they've gone through in their past leaves. So this is my dragon's breath. This is a string of hearts. This is my fry deck that I'm literally on the verge of just giving up on. It has very cute little babies, and the babies look nice, but I did have spider mites on it again, and you can see the other leaf had them. So I treated it, and this leaf was curled up, and then it knocked over, so that's why it's got holes in the leaves. This is another Calathea. I purchased it with spider mites, not knowing. I don't even know what it is, or what it was, or what it'll look like, but I'm pretty sure it is a medallion of some kind. This is a Syngonium. Here's a Peperomia. I had it under a grow light, and it just got a little too baked. Here are all my propagations, and the like. So I've got all kinds of just African violet leaves, got some micans in the back, and some begonias. I separated my sundews and my Venus flytraps, and then here are all of the suckers and pretty much leaf propagations for my African violets. And then in the very back are two very precious baby fry decks. This is my Monstera Adonzi narrow leaf. I had it hanging, and the little tendrils got so long and just so wonky that I put it on a moss pole. I don't know what this is, but I got it at a plant swap. Has seen better days. This is my umbrella plant that I honestly forget about, and that's for the best, because when I had it inside, I had a tendency to overwater it. I moved this outside because I don't really know what's wrong with it, but it's a Dracaena, and it's a white jewel Dracaena. It's got something going on. So I removed it from my other plants. This is my Christmas cactus, and I have it outside because I want it to bloom. I don't know if it's Christmas or Thanksgiving, whatever, but it has been growing pretty steadily for me, and I'm hoping that these colder temperatures being outside, because it's been in the 60s and 50s, that it'll trigger it to bloom. Here's a very stretched out Echeveria. Here's a bromeliad. I think it's a pink star. Here are all the babies it made, plus a bunch of random cuttings that I got from plant swaps. So I've got some Sansevieria, some zigzag cactus or fishbone, and here is my Ficus lyrata. It had spider mites and a bunch of other stuff wrong with it, so I repotted it in this self-watering container, and I could not get the little trees to stand upright, so I chopped them off, and you can see very clearly where I did that. But luckily it didn't kill it, you know, like it's making it. It even started sprouting leaves at the base. Like, I really thought I killed it. I didn't post anything about it because I was like, this is probably not best practice, but I don't even care. But it had just gotten so tall, I could not fit it back into this pot, so it's nice and bushy now. Also, all the leaves had dropped, so there were only like 4 leaves at the top of each branch. So that's the ficus story. These are my amaryllis plants. They bloom. I put them outside in the summer. When it gets close to freezing, I'll chop off all the green, put them in brown paper bags in the storage room, and then whenever I want them to bloom, pretty much I'll take them out, and I had some success. Obviously I have more now than I did, but I had like 4 of them, and I put them in the refrigerator, our wine refrigerator, and pretty much kept them in there for 4 weeks, and 2 of them rebloomed, and I think 2 of them didn't, so maybe they needed more time. Here is a fried peony. Here's a fried peony with mint. Here's a Gerber daisy. Here are my cacti, and if you look really closely, you can see that this one's about to rebloom. So beautiful. It is a cactus. I kind of forget about these. I put them outside in the summer, and then in the winter I just put them in an old lady cactus. In the winter I just put them in a window, and I don't water them, and that's not intentional. I just forget about them, and then I water them and put them outside, and they bloom. So, but this one has bloomed twice this year. Here is what's left of my dahlias. They got baked so badly in summer, and I had to cut them back because they were just fried, and now they're showing some sign of growth. These are Einsteins. These are as well, and this is where my little lizards stay, and they come out when I water them. Here is like an emo dahlia. These I purchased discounted. And then if we go out into the yard, we've got my Fanny Mosier army. They are just humongous. Like, Look how big that is. Like, they're like 2 feet tall. And they were so tiny. But they really like that area. Pretty much, it's sad, but there's no way I can bring them all in. When we have our first freeze, I'm just gonna cry because they're gonna die. But anyways, this is my flower garden. And I just bought seeds every time I went to Walmart for a while. And then I planted those in spring. And then halfway through summer, I planted more. And they are just so beautiful. And I feel guilty because sometimes the hummingbird feeders run out. So I pretty much just have these as backup. So they come here and they have something, you know. These are cosmos. What's blooming now are zinnias. I did have more variety towards the beginning of summer and spring because I used, like I said, a varied mix. It was like a huge bag, and it was like, it had all the names of different things. And you can see those on the garden tour because I tried to take a short video of each one, especially when they were different. But yeah, there's lots of different types of zinnias. So these are like the giant ones. And you've got the ones that are kind of more frilly. And I believe those are cactus style. And then these are the giants. As you can see, it's kind of self-explanatory. Like, they are giant. A florist friend, because they take up a good bit of space. This Cosmo, I tried to prop up, as you can see here, but it just got so heavy and large. It really needed a larger stake, so it's just kind of draped over. And it has been blooming for me all summer. We had a storm that blew it over. And there's a Cosmo. It's been tangled up in those flowers. This is a very sad angel trumpet. I purchased it hoping it would bloom, and it hasn't. Maybe it will next year. But yeah, these are cypress vines. I've had these growing up, and I just got some. Some of them are red, some of them are pink, and some of them are white. I got a varied mix, but it seems like the majority of them are red or pink. I've only really seen probably 3 white blooms. So they were out-competed by the red. The hummingbirds love these. Absolutely love them. Here are these very beautiful and dainty little roses. I don't fertilize them, or, I mean, I've honestly never pruned them. They've just been here, and they just, I guess, thrive off of benign neglect. I don't water them. They're out here thriving for some reason. So that concludes pretty much my indoor and outdoor plant tour. Thank you so much. Be sure to like and comment some of your favorite plants below. Tell me what you're doing to prepare for, I guess, wintering your plants and stuff. Alright, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.